And state records reveal shocking abuses at daycare centers here in the Bay Area. What our investigation found when we return.
Now to our investigation on daycare. Child care providers have one of the hardest and most important jobs. They're responsible for the little people we cherish the most. But while they're watching your kids, who's watching them? We obtained last year's state inspection records of Bay Area child care facilities. And what we found will shock you. NBC Bay Area's Diane Dwyer reports.
The allegations are detailed in hundreds of pages of court documents filed by the Department of Social Services. Graphic descriptions of alleged abuse, physical and sexual. At a daycare on Calera Road in San Jose, a child's mouth was duct taped shut during quiet time. In Oakland, a child was struck in the face with a ruler until her mouth bled. A caretaker in Milpitas with a blood alcohol level more than 3 times the legal limit, so drunk she dropped an infant on the floor, not once, but twice. When authorities arrived, she did not know any of the names of the children in her care. And at a home on Water Street in San Jose, a foster father having sex with one of the children. You may think that child predators, sex offenders, and other criminals wouldn't be allowed to work in daycare facilities. They're not. But that doesn't mean they don't. Records show repeated examples of criminals living and working in Bay Area daycares. A man convicted of a violent rape found living at a daycare on Willow Street in Oakland. At Family Child Care Home in Cupertino, authorities found a sex offender still wearing his GPS ankle monitor. And in Gilroy, a convicted criminal working at the daycare sexually abused several of the children. There are pages and pages outlining hazardous conditions. Infants left for hours in baby swings, knives, razors, and chemicals within a child's reach. And at a facility on Mikado Circle in San Jose, a loaded gun. So you may be thinking, how could this possibly happen? Well, the state of California has 43,000 licensed daycare facilities, so the Department of Social Services has its work cut out for it. There are inspections, but only once about every 3 years. If there's a complaint, the department will respond within 10 days.
They are surprise inspections.
Fred Gill has been with the Department of Social Services for almost 30 years and has seen his fair share of good and bad child care facilities.
Any condition you can imagine.
Gill says oftentimes parents are unaware of what's happening at their kids' daycare because they don't know what to look for.
They don't know the criminal record status of the help. They might not see the dangers that we're aware of. They might not know of the incident where a child is left unattended for some period of time.
With the state inspecting only 30% of daycare providers every year, it's up to me as a parent and you to be the eyes and ears. But do you know what to look for? Do you know what questions to ask? There are some things daycare providers don't need to tell you, and you're not going to find them in state records either. And these aren't little things. To most parents, they're major issues. Do you know if there's a gun in your child's family daycare home? Well, you won't know unless you ask. Sarah Kinahan with 4Cs, a child care resource center in San Mateo, says it's up to parents to be their own inspectors. She recommends parents be the ones making unannounced visits.
That is absolutely their right to drop in and check on their child at any time.
Jessica Maloney didn't know about 3 pit bulls living at a Redwood City daycare she was considering.
It wasn't until I went to go ask to look at her backyard.
And although a baby had died from SIDS at her current daycare, there was no record of it in the state file.
They didn't mention anything. I was the one who kind of, probed and asked them about, are you sure that nothing is showing up in terms of 1992?
Maloney only knew about the incident because the provider told her, but she didn't have to. Here are some questions to ask about the things they don't have to tell you. What kind of pets are in the home? Do they have any guns or weapons? Has there ever been a child death, even if they weren't responsible? Ask to see the criminal background checks on all adults living and working in the home. They're required to have them.
The parents should be verifying all of this firsthand when they go out.
And don't assume someone else is checking for you. Diane Dwyer, NBC Bay Area News.
Now, there are several ways to find out about citations and criminal clearances for your daycare. We suggest contacting the Department of Social Services, where every county does have a free child care research and referral network. We put the links to these places on our website, NBCBayArea.com.